NDTV Hindu.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Line. Over the next half hour, I'll give you a roundup of all the business news for the week. First up, we take a look at what Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee says. He's given a thumbs up to the Indian economy, saying that it's in line with the growth projections of the midterm review. Mukherjee has reiterated that India, Asia's third largest economy, is expected to grow at a 7.75%.
After a year of highs and lows, India's finance minister is buoyed by Indian economy's resilience and its strong rebound. A confident Mukherjee today minced no words to convey the worst for Indian economy was over. In fact, he took a step further to cheer the markets with his bullish growth expectation for India in the new year.
The growth scenario for the overall year from 2009-10 would be around 7.75% if things go on as it is right now.
The industry too is party to the FM's optimism, with leading brokerages projecting a rebound to the 8% growth trajectory. In recent reports, Nomura and Macquarie say they see India reaching 8% GDP growth in 2010, while JP Morgan sees a 7.8% growth and Credit Suisse 7.7%.
2010 seems more like 2004 rather than 2008, and that means at the start of an economic upturn rather than at the peak of the economic upturn. 2004, interestingly, was also the year when RBI started tightening policy. And, while there are important differences between the two cycles, it is still striking that a lot of people still are somewhat skeptical about India hitting 8% growth for next year. And I think that is where a potential positive surprise can come about.
Even as the new year promises to mark a complete turnaround for the financial world, it will also bring in a share of challenges. For India, a lot will depend on how it will tackle its fiscal deficit and building inflationary pressures. With Saurabh Jaitley in New Delhi, Ragini Verma, NDTV Profit.
With economic growth picking up in the country, chances are the government would roll back the stimulus sooner than later. And which sector will be the first to take the hit? It's the export sector. At least that's the feeling amongst the exporters.
Exports are clearly on an upward swing, but that could just be the good news before some bad news hits the show. While November saw exports turning positive with a growth of over 18% after more than a year of downward slide. The government has now almost made up its mind to withdraw incentives given to the exporters soon after the budget. While sectors like engineering, chemicals and consumer goods are clearly back in the positive terrain. Officials suggest 35 to 40% of the overall positive trend, which is due to the impact of the incentives. And these taken away in an attempt to plug the budgetary deficit could create some panic within the sector, even while traditional markets have still not seen any recovery.
Drawing back the stimulus measures, sir? You have to wait till the budget.
And exporters fear the first incentive to go will be the interest subsidy.
So government should not jump into conclusion for withdrawal of soaps, whatever they offered to us. Instead of that, we are asking the government that focus market scheme, which for the European states got expired, we want the 2% incentive, and all the EXIM script, and also we want that interest subvention to continue up to 2011 March.
Officials even within the Commerce Ministry are of the view that the incentives should be carried on for at least another year for the export sector to really stabilize. Or withdrawal could turn fiscal 2010 into yet another setback year, something the government would want to avoid at all costs. In New Delhi with Saurabh Jaitley, Devdatta Das, NDTV Profit.
With growth comes energy requirements. Though gas is slowly making its inroads into the Indian energy map, but coal still remains the biggest energy supplier. Coal India, with a supply of about 60% of India's energy needs, enjoys a virtual monopoly. But the company is now looking for private partnerships to grow its business.
Nationalization of coal production helped Coal India to emerge as the world's biggest coal producer, but on the flip side, it has been nearly devoid of any further investments and its resources remain inadequately explored. The company's management now feels partnership with private players is a way forward.
There is a small clarification required from the Ministry of Coal, and that's also been sorted out. We are expecting it possibly next week. And once it comes, among the shortlisted 10 parties, every mine there will be a bid invited. So it will be a 51-49 joint venture.
51 by whom?
51 us.
And 49?
49 theirs.
But why is Coal India not developing these coal mines on its own?
It is mines which are abundant because of unsafe conditions and lack of technology to handle those mines. We are great in open cast mines, you can see that. But certainly there are technologies available in the world which we have not yet harnessed or absorbed as far as underground mining is concerned.
These 18 coal blocks need investments up to 20,000 crore rupees, and the companies interested for getting a pie of the 2 billion tons of coal reserves in 18 mines include ArcelorMittal, RNRL, Rio Tinto, Titan Mining, and not to forget Tata Steel's JV company with SAIL. What needs to be seen is that which one will be selected to partner Coal India. With Rajkumar Sahu in Kolkata, Saurabh Chakravarti for NDTV Profit.
India's flat nationwide tax rate for goods and services might be some time away, but for those who are hoping for a low rate, there might be a surprise in store. The National Institute of Public Finance and Policy has said that rates cannot be lower than a whopping 17 to 18%.
It appears to be free for all when it comes to deciding the GST rate. The latest to join the bandwagon is government's think tank, NIPFP, or the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, which suggests that the GST rate cannot be lower than 17 to 18%.
On the basis of the existing information, I think aggregate tax rate, the revenue neutral tax rate comes somewhere about, 17 to 18% for both central and the states.
But this is not where the buck stops. Govind Rao, also a member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council in the full presence of industry, questioned the entire basis of the recent recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission's task force on GST.
Now, we have sent in the note to the task force saying that there are some serious methodological issues involved in that. A more realistic assessment has to be done.
Finance Ministry at its end does not want to commit anything on the GST timeline or the rates. It will be interesting to watch what the state finance ministers in consultation with Pranab Mukherjee decide on the 7th of Jan when they meet again. New Delhi, Sapna Das, NDTV Profit.
Those were some of the big stories this week. We'll be back in a bit with some investment advice.